Hi, welcome to the session. We are going to discuss class and style binding in Vue.js. The ability to bind class and style is an important requirement to handle elements manipulation and behavior in user interfaces. We have HTML attributes for class and style. So we can use vbind directive to bind dynamic values to class and style attributes as per our needs. Let's see it in action. Create a data called isHighlighted. Create two paragraphs and a button. Bind click event on the button with a method called toggle. Create the toggle method and toggle the isHighlighted value. Create a style for a class called highlight. Conditionally bind the highlight class in first paragraph. Bind style in the second paragraph with the same condition. Run it on the browser. Yes, working. The class and style are toggling. But you can see here, this kind of conditionals is annoying and gradually the templates become hard to maintain. To tackle that, Vue provides special enhancements on vbind for class and style binding. In addition to string, we can use objects and arrays. Class binding with object syntax. We can use objects in vbind directive to dynamically bind class. The keys in the objects will be added as the elements classes according to the truthiness of the value. Let's see it in action. Create a data called isHighlighted. Create a paragraph and bind the highlight class using object syntax. Run it. Currently isHighlighted is false, so class is not bound. Let's update it via console and see. Yes, it's working. The class highlight successfully binding to the paragraph. We can put the class object to data for maintainability. Bind an object called class object to class. Create class object data and set highlight property to false. Run it. Let's update the highlight property to true. Yes, working. The class highlight is binding to the paragraph as we expected. We can use computed properties as well to build a powerful and robust pattern when we have complex logic. Create a property called isHighlighted. Create a computed property called class object. Return an object with the highlight property value as isHighlighted data. Run it and check. Yes, when we change the value of isHighlighted property, it reflecting on the computer class object. Class binding with array syntax. We can use array syntax to bind a list of classes. Let's check it. Create a data called highlight class with highlight property value to false. Create another data called error class with error property value to false. Create a paragraph and bind highlight class and error class to the class using array syntax. Run it and check by updating highlight and error properties to true. Yes, the classes highlight an error binding to the paragraph. We can use ternary expressions in array syntax to conditionally bind class. Let's check how to do that. Let's bind the highlight and error class by default. Create a property called hasError and set its value to false. Remove the array items and conditionally bind the error class and highlight class. Run it and check by updating the value of hasError. Yes, the class is toggling according to the value of hasError property. Object syntax can be used inside array syntax, so we can avoid the usage of ternary expressions in many cases. Create an object and set the error value to hasError. Keep the highlight class as same. Now we don't want the error class. Let's check it by updating the value of hasError. Yes, working. Class binding on components. When we add or bind class to a component, it will add to the component's root element. Let's see it in action. Create a data called isHighlighted and set its value to false. Create a component with heading as a tag name and set a template with a division wrapper for heading and paragraph. Use heading and run it. Yes, working. Bind the highlight class. Run it and check by updating the value of isHighlighted. Check the rendered component. Yes, here you can see the class is binding on the root element of the component. Style binding with object syntax. Object syntax in inline style binding almost looks like CSS. We can use property names in camel case or kebab case. Let's see how to use it. Create a paragraph and bind the color and font style using object syntax. Run it. Yes, working. We can put the style object to data for maintainability. Create an object called highlight style with color and font style properties. Bind the highlight style object to the style. Run it. Yes, working. We can use computed property here as well for complex logic. Create a data called hasError and set its value to false. Create a computed property called highlight style and return an object with conditionally set color and font style properties. Run it and check by updating the value of hasError. Yes, working. When we update the hasError data, it's reflecting on the computed property highlight style and toggling the style according to that. We can pass multiple values to a property using an array. The browser will only render the last value from the array that supports it. Style binding with array syntax. We can use array syntax to add multiple style objects to an element. Let's check how to do that. Create a data called highlight style and set font weight property to bold. Create error style data and set color property to red. Create a paragraph and bind highlight and error style using array syntax. Run it. Yes, the style bound. Let's check by updating the highlight style. Yes, it's working. Style binding and auto prefixing. Some of the CSS properties require vendor prefixes. The transform property is one of them. Vue will automatically detect those properties and add appropriate prefixes and update the styles. Let's check it. Create input and bind the style object to style. Create a style object in data and set text security to square. Run it. Yes, working. Let's check the rendered style. Here you can see the text security property is rendered with the vendor prefix. Thanks for watching this session. We hope this session is helpful for you to understand more about class and style binding in Vue. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more tutorials. See you in the next session.